stepped off the transport ship and took her first breath of recycled station air. Nexus Station was everything the training videos had promised. Massive corridors stretched in every direction. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked past her without a second look. Lights from 100 different shops and trading posts filled the main hall with color. In her arms, she carried a special container. Inside, her companion was sleeping. The honey badger had handled the long journey from Earth better than most humans would. He simply ate his food, slept, and occasionally looked out the window at the stars with complete disinterest. Over here. She turned and saw Ambassador waving at her from across the arrival area. He was a tall man in his 50s with gray hair and kind eyes. 2 security officers stood behind him, along with several alien officials. Walked over and bowed slightly. "Ambassador, I am honored to join your team." Smiled warmly. "We are glad to have you with us. These negotiations are important, and having someone who understands alien biology might help us avoid cultural mistakes." His eyes moved to the container. "And this must be the famous." "Yes, sir. He is registered as my emotional support animal, but he is also trained for protection work." One of the alien officials stepped forward. He was tall and covered in deep blue scales. His eyes were yellow with black slits, like a snake. Golden rings decorated his fingers, and his robes were made of expensive fabric. This was High Merchant of the Empire. "This is your protection?" asked. His voice was smooth but filled with amusement. "May I see this creature?" Hesitated for just a moment, then opened the top of the container, lifted his head and looked around with small, dark eyes. His black and white fur was messy from sleep. He yawned, showing small but sharp teeth. Stared at the honey badger for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was not a kind laugh. This tiny thing is what humans bring for protection." He turned to his fellow officials and spoke in their language. They all began laughing too. Other aliens in the area noticed the commotion. A group of large, furry creatures from a species did not recognize pointed at and made sounds that seemed like mockery. A tall insect-like being clicked its mandibles in what appeared to be amusement. "On my world," said, still smiling, "we keep hunting beasts that stand 3 meters tall. They can tear through metal with their claws, and humans bring this small furry animal." He shook his head. "Perhaps this is why humans are still so new to galactic politics. You do not understand strength." Felt her face grow hot, but she kept her expression calm. She had expected this. The briefings had warned her that aliens often judged humans by their appearance. Humans were soft. Humans were small compared to many species. Humans did not have claws or fangs or armored skin. "Is for emergencies," said simply. This made laugh even harder. Emergencies. What emergency could this creature solve? If a strong wind came, it would blow away. Ambassador stepped in smoothly. "High Merchant, perhaps we should continue to the negotiation chambers. We have much to discuss regarding the mineral trade agreement." Nodded, still smiling with amusement. Yes, let us talk business, but please keep your tiny pet safe. I would hate for it to get stepped on." The delegation walked away, still chuckling among themselves. Put a hand on shoulder. "Do not let them bother you. The respect only shows of power. They will learn." "I am not bothered," Ambassador said. She looked down at who had gone back to sleep, completely unconcerned with the aliens who had mocked him. "He does not care what they think. Neither do I." The human delegation was given quarters in the diplomatic section of Nexus Station. The rooms were comfortable but simple. Set up sleeping area and feeding station, then attended the first day of meetings. The negotiations were difficult. The Empire controlled access to rare minerals that Earth needed for new technology. Without these minerals, human expansion into deep space would slow down significantly. But knew this, and he used it to demand unfair terms. "Humans want our minerals," said during the afternoon session, "but what do humans offer in return? Your technology is basic. Your military is weak. Your culture is young. He spread his hands. You bring nothing of value to this partnership. Ambassador remained calm. Earth offers agricultural advances that could help feed billions across the colonies. We offer medical research that your scientists have expressed interest in. And we offer friendship with a species that never forgets those who helped us. Waved his hand dismissively. Pretty words, but words do not win wars or build empires. Sat in the corner of the room taking notes on her tablet. Lay at her feet, occasionally sniffing the air. She noticed that whenever spoke, his ears would turn toward him, tracking the sound. After the meeting ended, walked back to the human quarters with a security officer named. He was young, perhaps 30 years old, with short black hair and alert eyes. He had barely spoken during the journey from Earth, but could tell he was always watching everything. "They are difficult," said quietly as they walked. "They want to feel powerful," replied. "Making us look weak makes them feel strong." "There are rumors," continued, lowering his voice. "Some say a group called the Syndicate does not want these negotiations to succeed. They profit when different species fight instead of trade." Frowned. "You think they might try something?" "I think we should be careful." When they reached the human quarters, noticed something strange. Who had been calm all day suddenly became alert. His body went low to the ground. His small eyes scanned the corridor. "What is it?" whispered. Did not move. He simply stared at a spot on the wall near Ambassador's door. Trusted her companion. She had raised since he was young. She knew his behaviors. This was not normal. She said softly, "Something is wrong." The security officer's hand moved to his weapon. "What do you mean?" "Senses something, near the ambassador's room." They approached slowly, scanned the wall with a small device from his belt. His expression changed. "There is a listening device hidden here," he said. "Someone has been spying on our delegation." Picked up and held him close. The honey badger was still alert, still watching. Somewhere on the station, someone was working against them. And now, because of a small creature that aliens had laughed at, the humans knew they were being watched. The game had changed, and had a feeling that before this was over, would show everyone exactly why humans had brought him along. The discovery of the listening device changed everything for the human delegation. Spent the entire night scanning their quarters for more hidden technology. He found 2 more devices, one in the meeting room and one in the kitchen area. "Someone wants to know everything we discuss," Ambassador said the next morning. His face was tired but determined. "This is not they are arrogant but they follow rules of diplomacy. This is someone else." The Syndicate said. "They have agents on every major station. They make money from conflict. A successful trade deal between Earth and the would hurt their business." Sat quietly, feeding small pieces of meat. The honey badger ate slowly, his dark eyes watching everyone in the room. She had not slept well. Every small sound in the night had made her wake up and check on her companion. "What do we do?" she asked. Sighed. "We continue negotiations. We cannot show fear or weakness, but we must be very careful about what we say and where we say it." The second day of talks was even harder than the first. Seemed to enjoy making the humans wait. He arrived late to every meeting. He interrupted Ambassador constantly. He made small jokes about human weakness that made his fellow laugh. But something interesting happened during the afternoon break. A different official approached while she sat alone with. His name was Merchant Lord. He was younger than, with lighter blue scales and curious eyes. Unlike the High Merchant, he did not seem to enjoy mocking others. "May I sit?" he asked politely. Nodded, "Of course." Looked at with genuine interest. "I must admit, I am curious about your companion. On my world, we study creatures from across the galaxy. I have never seen anything quite like this one." "He is called a honey badger," said. "On Earth, they are known for being very aggressive and fearless." Tilted his head, Fearless, but it is so small. Smiled slightly. Size does not always matter. Comes from a family of animals called. They are known for being fierce hunters despite their small bodies. She stroked fur gently. Honey badgers in particular have some amazing abilities. Their skin is very thick and loose, which makes it hard for predators to bite them effectively. They can turn around inside their own skin to fight back. Remarkable, said, leaning closer to look at. They are also immune to most venoms, continued. On Earth, they eat venomous snakes for food. A snake bite that would kill a human barely slows down a honey badger. His eyes widened. They eat venomous creatures. Yes, and they never give up in a fight. There are records of honey badgers fighting off lions, which are much larger predators. The honey badger will attack anything that threatens it, no matter how big or dangerous. Looked at again, this time with new respect. The honey badger stared back at him with those small, dark eyes. There was something unsettling about that gaze. It was not afraid. It was not curious. It was simply watching, waiting. I think I understand why you brought him, said slowly. He is a symbol. He is more than a symbol, replied. But yes, humans and honey badgers are alike in many ways. We are not the biggest or the strongest, but we do not give up, ever. Nodded thoughtfully. I will remember that. After the break, negotiations continued. Was as difficult as before, but noticed watching her and with a thoughtful expression. That evening, called a private meeting in a secure location away from their quarters. He had found a small maintenance room that was not connected to the station's main communication system. I have learned more about the syndicate, he said quietly. They have an agent on the station. His name is. He is known for making problems disappear. What kind of problems? Asked. People, diplomats, anyone who threatens the syndicate's business interests. His expression was grim. Ambassador, I believe they may try to stop our negotiations permanently. The room went silent, felt a cold fear in her stomach. She held a little. We should request additional security from the station commander, said. I have already tried. Commander says the station security is stretched thin. There was a trade dispute in the lower sectors that required most of their officers. Shook his head. We are mostly on our own. Spoke up, then we must protect ourselves. With what? Asked gently. We have 2 security officers and 1 small animal. The syndicate has trained assassins. Looked down at. The honey badger was calm, but she could feel the strength in his small body. Ambassador, do you know what makes honey badgers so dangerous? Their aggression. No, it is that they never stop. Other animals fight until they are hurt, then they run away. Honey badgers fight until the threat is completely gone. They do not feel fear the way other creatures do. They do not know when to quit. She met the ambassador's eyes. That is why humans survived on Earth. Not because we were strong, because we refused to stop. Was quiet for a moment, then he nodded slowly. What do you suggest? We continue as normal. We do not show fear, but we stay alert. Has already shown he can sense things we cannot. He knew about the listening device before any of our equipment found it. She stroked the honey badger's head. I trust him. That night could not sleep. She sat in the common room of their quarters, reviewing cultural notes on her tablet. Was curled up on a cushion nearby, but he was not truly sleeping. Every few minutes, his ears would turn toward some sound that could not hear. Around midnight, suddenly lifted his head. His body went tense. A low sound came from his throat, somewhere between a hiss and a growl. Had never heard him make that sound before. What is it? She whispered. Stood up slowly. His eyes were fixed on the main door of their quarters. The fur on his back was standing up. His lips pulled back slightly, showing his teeth. Something was coming. Reached for her communication device to alert. But before she could touch it, the lights in the room went dark. In the blackness, she heard his growl grow louder. Then she heard something else. Footsteps, soft, careful, coming closer. They were not alone. The darkness was complete, could not see her own hand in front of her face, but she could hear. She could hear the soft footsteps getting closer. She could hear a growl, low and dangerous. And then she heard something else, a faint shimmer of movement, air being displaced by something invisible. Stealth technology. The intruders had cloaking devices. His heart was beating so fast she thought it might burst from her chest. Her hand fumbled for the alarm button on the wall, but she could not find it in the dark. Then moved. The honey badger launched himself across the room with a speed that seemed impossible for his small body. There was a crash, a scream, and suddenly the air was filled with chaos. One of the invisible figures flickered into view. The stealth field had failed when hit him. He was tall and thin, with pale gray skin and 4 arms. Blood was already flowing from his leg where it had bitten deep into the muscle. The figure, agent of the syndicate, tried to shake the honey badger off, but his teeth were locked in place. His loose skin allowed him to twist his body around, and now he was climbing up his leg, biting and clawing with terrible purpose. Get it off, screamed. 2 more figures appeared. They had turned off their stealth devices to help their leader. They raised weapons that glowed with blue energy. Did the only thing she could think of. She screamed as loud as possible while throwing herself toward the alarm panel. One of the assassins turned toward her. He fired his weapon. The blue energy blast hit the wall just behind her head, leaving a smoking hole. But had reached the alarm. She slammed her palm against it, and suddenly the room was filled with flashing red lights and a screaming siren. The assassin aimed at her again. This time he would not miss. Then was there. The honey badger had released and crossed the room in a blur of black and white fur. He hit the assassin's arm just as the weapon fired. The shot went wild, blasting a hole in the ceiling. Before the assassin could react, climbed up his body with terrifying speed. The honey badger's claws dug into flesh. His teeth found the soft area where the alien's neck met his shoulder. The assassin screamed and dropped his weapon, using both hands to try to pull away. But the honey badger would not let go. He never let go. The third assassin raised his weapon toward, but he hesitated. He was afraid of hitting his companion. That hesitation cost him everything. The door burst open, entered with his own weapon drawn, followed by 2 station security officers. The lights came back on. "Freeze!" shouted. The third assassin turned to fire at, but he was too slow. Shot hit him in the chest and he collapsed to the ground. Bleeding badly from his leg, tried to run. He made it 3 steps before released the second assassin and went after him. The honey badger was covered in blood now, most of it not his own. His eyes were wild with battle fury. He caught at the door and brought him down like a predator taking down prey. The assassin screamed as teeth found his arm, then his shoulder, then his throat. "Hold!" shouted. The honey badger stopped. His teeth were pressed against his throat, but he did not bite down. He simply held the assassin in place, growling deep in his chest. Lay completely still. He understood that one wrong move would be his last. Moved quickly, securing all 3 assassins with restraints. Station security called for medical assistance. The whole attack had lasted less than 2 minutes. Ambassador emerged from his room, his face pale. What happened? Assassination attempt, said. 3 syndicate agents. They would have succeeded if not for, he looked at with something like wonder, if not for that creature. Knelt beside her companion. Release. The honey badger finally let go of his throat. He stepped back, his body still tense, still ready to fight. Blood covered his fur and dripped from his muzzle. "Good boy," whispered, her voice shaking. "Good boy." Medical teams arrived and took the assassins away, kept staring at with pure terror in his eyes. He had faced many enemies in his career. He had killed diplomats and soldiers and spies, but he had never faced anything like this small earth creature that simply refused to stop attacking. As the chaos settled, noticed someone standing in the doorway. It was High Merchant. The leader stared at the scene before him. He saw the blood on the floor. He saw the holes in the walls from missed shots. He saw the 3 trained assassins who had been defeated. And he saw, small and blood-covered, still standing guard over the human delegation. What is that thing?" whispered. "That is a honey badger," said, her voice tired but proud. "From Earth." Did not laugh this time. He did not make any jokes about weak humans or tiny pets. He simply stared with an expression that had never expected to see on his face. Fear, respect, and perhaps a little bit of wonder. Station commander arrived shortly after. He was a large being covered in thick brown fur, with a flat face and small ears. He looked at the damage and shook his head slowly. "The syndicate attacked a diplomatic delegation on my station," he said heavily. "This is a serious matter." "They wanted to stop our negotiations," explained. "They profit from conflict between species." Nodded. "We have suspected their involvement in many incidents, but we never had proof. Now we have 3 of their agents in custody," he looked at. "Thanks to, I am sorry, what exactly is that animal?" "A honey badger," said. "His name is." "Saved our lives tonight," added. "He detected the assassins before they could strike and fought them until help arrived." Walked closer to, studying him carefully. The honey badger met his gaze without flinching. "On my world," said slowly, "we have a saying. The smallest creature can carry the greatest spirit. I believe I understand that saying better now." He turned to High Merchant. "I hope this incident will not affect your negotiations with the humans." Was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, and his voice had lost all its previous arrogance. "I believe we have much to discuss with the humans, much more than I originally thought." He looked at one more time. "I was wrong to laugh at them. I will not make that mistake again." Felt exhaustion washing over her. The fear was fading, replaced by a deep tiredness, but she also felt something else: pride. She had come to this station as a simple with a small companion that everyone mocked. Tonight, that companion had proved that Earth creatures were not to be underestimated. Tomorrow the galaxy would learn the name. Tomorrow everything would change. But for now, just wanted to clean the blood off her friend and hold him close until morning came. The next morning, woke to find that everything had changed. News of the attack had spread across Nexus Station during the night. Security footage of fighting the assassins had been shared on every communication channel. By breakfast time, the entire galaxy seemed to know about the small Earth creature that had defeated 3 trained killers. His communication device would not stop buzzing with messages. News organizations wanted interviews. Scientists wanted to study. Alien diplomats wanted to meet him. She turned off the device and focused on caring for her companion. Had several cuts and burns from the fight. The station's medical team had offered to treat him, but they admitted they knew nothing about Earth animals. Cleaned his wounds herself, using supplies from her personal medical kit. "You were so brave," she whispered as she worked. "I am so proud of you." Looked up at her with those small, dark eyes. Then he yawned and went back to sleep. The fight was over. He had protected his human. That was all that mattered to him. When finally left the medical area of their quarters, she found Ambassador waiting for her. He was smiling. "You should see the news channels," he said. "They are calling the most dangerous animal in the galaxy." "He is not dangerous," replied. "He just protects what he loves." Nodded. "That is exactly what makes him dangerous to our enemies." He paused. "Has requested a private meeting. He wants to apologize formally." Was surprised. The proud High Merchant wanted to apologize. "What should I do?" "Accept it gracefully. The respect strength and you have shown them strength, but they also respect honor. Let him save some dignity." The meeting took place in a small room near the main negotiation chamber. Was already there when arrived. He looked different somehow. The arrogance that had surrounded him like a shield was gone. "Please sit," he said quietly. Sat across from him, was in his carrier beside her, sleeping peacefully. Took a deep breath. "I owe you an apology. When you arrived, I mocked your companion. I said humans were weak because you brought small animals instead of powerful beasts." He shook his head slowly. "I was a fool. You judged us by our appearance," said. "Many species do." "Yes, and that judgment almost cost Ambassador his life. If not for your creature, those assassins would have succeeded." Looked its carrier. "I watched the security footage many times last night. I could not believe what I was seeing. That small animal fought like nothing I have ever witnessed. He took hits that would stop much larger creatures. He never retreated. He never showed fear." "That is his nature," explained. "Honey badgers have evolved to survive on a very dangerous world. Earth may seem peaceful compared to some planets, but our animals had to fight every day to live. Honey badgers learned that the only way to survive was to never give up, no matter what." Nodded slowly, "Like humans." "Yes, like humans." "I understand now," said. "Humans are not weak because you lack natural weapons. You are strong because you found other ways to survive. You formed bonds with creatures like this one. You learned to never surrender." He stood up and bowed formally, something had never seen a do before. "I apologize for my disrespect. It will not happen again." Stood and returned the bow. "Apology accepted, High Merchant." When she returned to the main area, she found it crowded with aliens of many species. They had all come to see. Merchant Lord approached her with an excited expression. "The entire station is talking about your honey badger. Our scientists have so many questions. How did he recover so quickly from his injuries? How did he know where the invisible attackers were? What is his diet? His biology is fascinating." Could not help but smile. "I would be happy to share information about honey badgers and other Earth animals, but first, I need to make sure rests properly." Of course," backed away, but his eyes kept moving to Scarrier. Later that day, the negotiations resumed, but the atmosphere was completely different. They were no longer dismissive. They listened carefully to everything Ambassador said. They asked respectful questions. They made fair offers. During a break, leaned close to, "This is remarkable. They have changed their position completely. The mineral trade deal they are now offering is better than anything we hoped for." "They respect us now," said. "Yes, because of one small creature who refused to give up," shook his head in wonder. "When I report this to Earth, they will not believe me." By evening, the basic framework of a trade agreement had been reached. Both sides were satisfied. Earth would get the minerals it needed. They would receive human agricultural and medical technology. More importantly, a foundation for future cooperation had been built. After the session, Station Commander approached the human delegation. "I wanted to thank you personally," he said too. "The capture of those syndicate agents has given us important information. We believe we can shut down their operations on this station completely." "Deserves the thanks, not me," replied. "Then I will thank you both." Looked at the carrier where was resting. "I have served on this station for 20 years. I have seen warriors from 100 different species, but I have never seen anything fight the way that small creature fought. He has earned my respect and the respect of my entire security force." As left, approached with a rare smile on his face. "You should see what is happening on the galactic networks," he said. "Is famous. There are already people making images and videos about him. Some are calling him the Terror Badger. Others are calling him the human's secret weapon." Laughed softly. "He would not care about any of that. All he wants is food and sleep." "That is what makes him so perfect," said. "He does not fight for glory or praise. He fights because it is who he is." That night took out of his carrier and let him walk around the quarters. He explored every corner, sniffing carefully, making sure there were no threats. When he was satisfied, he climbed onto his bed and curled up next to her. She stroked his healing fur gently. You changed everything, you know. Those aliens who laughed at you will never forget what you did. They will never underestimate Earth creatures again. Made a small sound that might have been agreement or might have been sleepiness. Tomorrow there will be a ceremony, continued. They want to honor you. The great high merchant wants to give you a medal. Can you believe that? The same alien who called you a tiny pest now wants to put a medal around your neck. Opened one eye, looked at her for a moment, then closed it again. Medals meant nothing to him, meant everything. She smiled and closed her own eyes. Tomorrow would bring more attention, more questions, more aliens wanting to see the famous honey badger. But tonight, they were just a human and her companion, resting after a hard day. Nothing more, nothing less. And somehow, that was exactly as it should be. The grand hall of Nexus Station had never been so full. Hundreds of aliens from dozens of species had gathered for the ceremony. Lights floated in the air, creating patterns of color above the crowd. Music played softly from hidden speakers. Stood near the front of the hall, wearing her formal diplomatic uniform, was beside her in a specially made ceremonial harness. The harness was black with gold trim, designed by thee as a gift. It fit perfectly. Ambassador stood at the main platform, ready to sign the official trade agreement with High Merchant. Behind them, Station Commander watched with satisfaction. Today marks a new beginning, said, his voice carrying across the hall. Earth and the Empire have reached an agreement that will benefit both our peoples. We will share resources, knowledge, and friendship. The crowd applauded politely, but noticed that many eyes were looking not at the ambassador, but at. Stepped forward to sign the agreement, but first he raised his hand for silence. Before we complete this ceremony, I must say something. He looked directly at, and when the human delegation arrived, I made a terrible mistake. I judged them by their appearance. I saw soft skin and small bodies. I saw a tiny creature and thought it meant weakness. He paused. I was completely wrong. The hall was silent. Every alien was listening. That small creature which I mocked and laughed at saved lives. He fought against trained assassins and won. He showed more courage and determination than warriors 10 times his size. His voice was strong and clear. The humans have a saying, do not judge a book by its cover. I did not understand this saying before. Now I do. He turned to face the crowd fully. We respect strength, we always have, but we were blind to what true strength means. True strength is not about size or weapons. True strength is about spirit, about refusing to surrender, about protecting those you love no matter the cost. Walked toward, and in his hands he carried a small case made of dark metal. Among my people, there is an honor given only to warriors who save lives in combat. It has never been given to a non. He opened the case, revealing a medal made of bright silver, carved with symbols. Today, I changed that tradition. He knelt down, bringing himself to his level. The honey badger watched him calmly. Of Earth, said formally, I present you with the medal of the guardian spirit. You have earned it through blood and courage. He carefully attached the medal to his harness. The honey badger sniffed it once, then ignored it completely. The crowd made sounds of amusement and affection. Stood and looked at. And to you, his companion and partner, I offer the gratitude of the Empire. You have taught us a valuable lesson. Bowed respectfully. Thank you, High Merchant, but I must be honest. Does not care about medals or honors. He only cares about food, sleep, and protecting me. She smiled. That is what makes him special. He does not fight for glory. He fights because it is his nature. And that, replied, is exactly what we admire. After the ceremony, was surrounded by aliens wanting to meet. Merchant Lord brought a delegation of scientists who asked hundreds of questions about honey badger biology. Other diplomats requested information about Earth animals, suddenly very interested in what other creatures might come from the human. Do you have more animals like this one? A tall insect-like being asked eagerly. Thought for a moment. We have many fierce creatures. There are wolverines, which are similar to honey badgers but live in cold areas. There are cassowaries, which are birds that can kill with their feet. There are hippopotamuses, which look peaceful but are actually very dangerous. She smiled. Earth is what we call a death world. Every creature on our planet has learned to fight for survival. The alien's eyes widened. Death world. Humans come from a death world. We do, and we are not even the most dangerous things there. This news spread quickly through the hall. Could see aliens whispering to each other, looking at the humans with new eyes. They had thought humans were weak because they were soft and small. Now they were learning that humans were survivors of a world that could kill in countless ways. Station commander approached near the end of the reception. The human government has made a formal request, he said. They want to establish a new position in diplomatic missions, Terran fauna specialist, someone who brings Earth animals to represent human-animal bonds. He looked at her carefully. They want you to lead this program. Was surprised, me, but I am just a... You are more than that now. You and have changed how the galaxy sees humanity. Other delegations want Earth animals. They want that symbol of determination and loyalty, smiled. You started something important. You should be the one to guide it forward. Later, as the crowd finally began to thin, found sitting alone on a quiet balcony overlooking the stars. Quite a day, he said, sitting beside her. Yes, stroked fur gently. I never expected any of this. When I was assigned to this mission, I thought I would just take notes in meetings and keep out of trouble. Laughed. Instead, you changed galactic politics. Changed it. I just happened to be with him. That is not true, and you know it. His voice was serious now. You raised him, you trained him, you trusted him when no one else did. That bond is what made everything possible. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching ships move through the darkness of space. A small figure appeared at the balcony entrance. It was a young alien child, no more than perhaps 5 years old by human standards. The child had soft blue skin and wide, curious eyes. "Excuse me," the child said in a tiny voice. "Is that the honey badger?" Smiled. "Yes, it is. His name is." "Can I pet him? My father says he is very brave." Looked at, the honey badger was watching the child without any sign of aggression. His body was relaxed, his eyes calm. "Come here slowly," said gently. "He is very gentle when he wants to be." The child walked forward carefully, guided the small hand to his back. The honey badger allowed the touch, even leaning slightly into it. "He is so soft," the child whispered with wonder. "Yes, he is, but he is also very strong inside, just like you." The child smiled and continued petting for a few more moments before running back to find their parents. Shook his head with a smile. The most feared creature on the station, and he lets a child pet him. "He knows the difference between a threat and a friend," said. "That is another thing that makes him special." She picked up and held him close. The metal on his harness caught the light of distant stars. "Ready to go home," she whispered. Made a soft sound and pressed his nose against her chin. Stood and looked out at the stars one last time. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting. A whole planet full of creatures that aliens had never imagined. A whole world of survivors. They had laughed when the human brought a honey badger. They would never laugh again.